Okay, so reflections on practice this evening. Today I practiced at 7 o'clock with a friend online who's running a movement ritual thing, Claire-Leah. That was awesome. And then I taught a class at 9 a.m. that includes the Nitya Puja, which is the practice that I do every day, and so fully immersed in that, in the teaching of it. Oh, that's my kitty cat's leg. Photobomb by the cat. Anyway, and then I just did my ancestral practice. So and throughout the day, you know, orientation to awareness, sometimes chanting blessings on the goddess, like different things. And today I had a couple of clients and then a community webinar for the people that have graduated from the Direct Realization Tantra immersion that I run. And there was a common theme in the client sessions and in the webinar around practice, showing up to daily practice. So I thought I'd just share a little on that. It's still hard for me to show up to practice each day. Like, I reckon that's why I probably do it last thing in the day, because it gets to that point and it's just like, oh, okay, no excuse, I got to do the thing now. And, you know, because I committed to 1,000 days in a row in 2015, it just, you know, before then I was practicing daily mostly, and I was doing 40-day practices, 90-day practices. But committing to 1,000 days of the same practice just it changed something, and it really brought home the power of showing up every day no matter what, particularly to the same kind of practice. And this practice is one that supports both the awakening process, right, the shift in identification from identifying with the body-mind to identifying with awareness, basically knowing oneself as awareness, and also supports the liberation process, right? Liberation from conditioning. So there's an ability to be aware of conditioning when it's running in the system, beliefs, behavior patterns, old wounds, whatever. To be aware of it, to disidentify from it, so to not think that you are that behavior pattern, or you are those thoughts, or you are those feelings, and then to be able to dissolve it. And so it's such a powerful practice because it hits both of those things, right? Which are the two goals of Classical Tantra. So it feels so good to do it, and I never, you know, once I sit down to do it, I never regret it. It's always like, oh, thank God I practiced tonight. And the practice is variable. So this is what came up in discussion today, is that, you know, sometimes people have this idea that they're trying to attain a good practice. They want it to be deep. They want it to be blissful. They want it to be a particular way. And if it doesn't live up to these expectations, or it's not how they think it should be, then there's a sense of like, oh, it wasn't a good practice. And so the whole relationship to practice is within this framework of good and bad, right and wrong, you know. And that relationship to practice is actually the thing that needs to shift, because there's another way to relate to what's happening. So there's this erroneous idea that there's a point one arrives at when practice easily happens every day and is really amazing, and it's this and it's that, and that's when I've arrived, or that's when I've succeeded. It's like, nah, that's not what happens. What happens is practice is still variable, and some days I don't want to do it, and you know, it's different. And my relationship though to it is whatever's happening in practice is just what's happening, and I just stay curious and open to what is happening. If I notice that I've got, for example, if I notice there's really strong resistance to practice, which happens sometimes, oh, sorry, I just have to move my body. Oh, right hip, a little sore. Yeah, if there's strong resistance for a few days, and I'm instead of getting like going, oh, it's bad, I'm resisting so much, blah, 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 it's like, whoa, curious, resistance, what's giving rise to that? And I just tune in and acknowledge the resistance. And often what will happen is if I go into the resistance, something reveals itself, something from the unconscious is flushed up into the consciousness. And And then because it's then there, I'm able to literally just be aware of it, and it digests and it dissolves and then it's gone. And so whatever was leading to the resistance, usually it's a painful, uncomfortable, stored emotion from the past, samskara, is now liberated, right? It's liberated. And this is how the shift in relationship to practice becomes another technology, becomes a part of the process, because in relating to practice, no matter what's happening, out of curiosity and feeling into what might be arising, things become more, they flush up out of the unconscious. Like, I kind of feel like I'm repeating myself, but I also feel like this is so important to understand. Like, you know, I'm so passionate about practice, and I'm basically because it saved my life. You know, that's a whole nother story. I'm not even going to go there. Let's just leave that aside for right now. Suffice to say, the takeaway that I would like for you to have is, if you are interested in daily practice, if you are committed to daily practice, if you're showing up to daily practice and you're stuck in that kind of mind frame of it was good, it was bad, I'm half-hearted, it should be like this, why am I even doing this, all of these different things, what I invite you to do is to simply be aware of that layer, right? And then see if you can start to just bring more curiosity to your practice. If it's half-hearted one day, just be curious about that. Wow, it's half-hearted, interesting. If there's a lot of resistance, just be curious about that. And so whatever arises, just be curious about it and see where that takes you. All right, my name's Kara-Leah, and this was Reflections on Practice. I run a direct realization Tantra immersion, residential online. They're happening regularly throughout the year. If you're curious, get in touch and I can tell you more about it. Yeah.